This is Jarrod Horak, and this is my early look at the Belmont Stakes. Now, right now it's Sunday, May 28th. We still have 13 days to the Belmont Stakes. It will be run at Belmont Park on Saturday, June 10th. And right now they have the probables listed. So I'll go through the probables and the possible runners, and I'll talk about each one briefly. Now, if you're interested in my annual Belmont Stakes Day full card at Belmont Park, you will find that at therunawayhorse.com on my sales page. Belmont Stakes Week had a lot of success in the Belmont Stakes in the recent years. 7 of the last 9 Belmont Stakes, I've had winning tickets, and I've had some big years and some nice cashes, some superfectas and trifectas, and some nice top choice winners in those years as well. And then coming off of a nice Preakness Stakes Day, my top choices had 7 wins in the 14 races, including my top choice in the Preakness National Treasure. Had a nice $100 win wager on him. Had the trifecta for $8 and then superfecta for $2. It showed a decent profit in the Preakness Stakes. Let's see if we can carry that momentum over into the Belmont Stakes. Now, if you're interested in reading my Belmont Stakes reports, you will find those reports at todaysracingdigest.com on their Belmont Stakes page. Last night was my first report for that website, and I'm going to be posting more as we get closer to the Belmont Stakes. Todaysracingdigest.com on their Belmont Stakes page if you want to read those reports. If you're interested in bonus free selections each day at horseracing.nation.com, I post a free selection, my daily best bets blog that I've been doing for many years. You can find that on the front page in the handicapping section at horseracing.nation.com. And then at therunawayhorse.com, I have some bonus free weekend stakes selections as well on my free page on my website there. So now let's get into the Belmont Stakes probables right now. And we'll start with Angel of Empire for trainer Brad Cox. Flavien Prat will ride this one. Now, Brad Cox, a few years back, Essential Quality won the Preakness Stakes for him. And he had run in the Kentucky Derby and he ran well. I think he finished 4th, maybe placed 3rd through this qualification. And then he ended up winning the Belmont Stakes over Hot Rod Charlie. And Angel of Empire, he was one that had good success prior to the Kentucky Derby, and he didn't run bad in the Derby either. He won when he stretched out to a mile and an eighth in the Risen Star Stakes at Fairgrounds, and then he looked good winning the Arcangelo Derby at Oaklawn at a mile and an eighth as well. And then in the Kentucky Derby, he got a lot of pace help. He rallied from off the pace. He ended up finishing 3rd there. Mage got a lot of pace help, and he got the best closing trip, and he won it. Two Phils probably moved too soon into that fast pace. I think Two Phils ran the best overall race in the Kentucky Derby, but he couldn't quite go with Mage late, but he did hold off Angel of Empire for 2nd. So it was a little bit discouraging that Angel of Empire, with all that pace help, still couldn't get past Two Phils for that runner-up spot, but he ran a solid enough race in the Derby, and his graded stakes form is good. He's a closer, but he doesn't have to come from last place. He can sit in mid-pack within hailing distance of the leaders. He's got that right running style to just grind away and have some success in the Belmont. We'll just have to see if he can go the 1.5 mile distance. Arcangelo, this one is a son of Arrogate. Lightly raced and on the improve, Javier Castellano is going to ride for trainer Jenna Antonucci. And this one, he's gotten good in a hurry. In his last 2 starts, back-to-back wins. He broke his maiden at Gulfstream Park in a 1-turn mile. And then in the Peter Pan Stakes a few weeks back, that was the local prep race for the Belmont Stakes at Belmont Park. And Bishop's Bay for trainer Brad Cox, he was up on the pace. He had the lead. Arcangelo hooked him in the stretch. They battled to the wire. Arcangelo was able to get the bob and get the job done there. And that was a good effort. I am concerned about his lack of seasoning. He's meeting some very seasoned horses like Angel of Empire. And like the next horse I'm going to talk about, your 2-year-old champion Forte, 4-time Grade 1 winner. He was the favorite for the Kentucky Derby after winning the Fountain of Youth in the Florida Derby. Fountain of Youth impressively, and then he ran down Mage to win the Florida Derby, and then Mage won the Kentucky Derby. Forte was supposed to run, but he had a foot bruise. He had to scratch. They put him on the vets list, so he was ineligible to run in the Preakness, and now he's trying to get off that vets list. He had a workout the other day at Belmont Park, a 5-furlong move. Looked really good in that workout, and he galloped out nicely, so he really looks like he's gotten over that foot bruise. And he had to work in front of the veterinarian that day, and then they had an examination before and after the work, and everything looked good. Now they have blood work that has to come back, and if that looks good, then he's going to be cleared to run in the Belmont Stakes. Irad Ortiz Jr. and Todd Pletcher. Now, Todd Pletcher's won the Belmont 4 times. Typically, Pletcher's horses don't do well in the Derby, but then they bounce back in the Belmont. But Forte wasn't able to run in the Derby. His last race was the Florida Derby. That was 10 weeks ago now. So coming into the Belmont, he's going to be coming off of a 10-week layoff. And we'll have to see. He did miss some training time as well. And can he go the 1.5 mile distance off of that layoff after missing some training time? And maybe some of these other 3-year-olds are starting to catch up to him as well. But he has a nice winning streak in the stakes ranks. Very classy. I would consider him a contender. Probably won't pick him on top because I think he's going to be the favorite. And I don't want to pick the favorite on top coming off of that kind of layoff. That's going to be him. Hit Show for trainer Brad Cox. Manny Franco, a good New York rider. And he's one that's, he ran a good race in the Kentucky Derby. He moved too soon. When Two Phils was making an early move, Hit Show was making an early move. And he had that inside post. That's never a great post in those big, bulky fields. In an 18-horse field, he was down inside. Made a nice early move. He got into it. He was up to 3rd place. Couldn't keep it going. He ended up finishing 5th of 18. That was a good effort, considering that fast pace, moving a bit too soon. He's had success in New York in the past. And Hit Show is one, I think, at a price for the Brad Cox runners. We talked about Angel of Empire, but Hit Show may be the more interesting horse at a much better price for trainer Brad Cox. Il Miracolo is probably overmatched. Marcos Meneses will be his rider. Antonio Seno is his trainer, and he comes off of a victory against a lesser company, non-stakes company at Gulfstream Park, and then he had a decent workout for the Belmont Stakes. And now they say it's a go, but he's one that I think he's run 5 times in stakes races, hasn't really been a threat in any of those races. And now he's got to go 1.5 miles, and against some quality horses. I don't know that he's going to be up to the task. He seems like an outsider. National Treasure, John Velasquez, Bob Baffert. They stole the Preakness Stakes. He had the inside post. He was putting blinkers back on. He got out there. He controlled the pace. He held off Blazing Sevens, and he was able to win the Preakness Stakes there with that race shape definitely in his favor. Now, the Belmont Stakes will probably unfold at a slow pace as well, and that would give him a good chance. Now, that Preakness Stakes was his first victory since his career debut at Del Mar last summer in a sprint race, but he did have some success hitting the board in multiple stakes races, and there were definitely reasons to think he was going to peak in the Preakness Stakes. He had run his first start this year in the Sham Stakes. He didn't have a good trip. He was 3rd, beaten a length, and then they were going to run him in the San Felipe Stakes at Santa Anita. Foot bruise, got knocked out of that race, and then he was coming off of a layoff of 3 months for the Santa Anita Derby. He finished an even 4th, and then he moved forward. And he was able to run a nice race when he had everything go his way in the Preakness Stakes. Now, typically, horses coming out of the Preakness, unless they're really, really talented horses going for the Triple Crown, like American Pharaoh or Justify, other horses will come back in 3 weeks and they just can't handle it. They don't do as well. And we'll have to see if that's going to be the case with National Treasure. But typically, horses exiting the Kentucky Derby, skipping the Preakness, pointing to the Belmont, they're the dangerous horses in the Belmont Stakes. But National Treasure, from a pace standpoint, he's got a decent pedigree. He's sharp. If he can get out there and control the pace, he's going to hang in there a long time at Belmont Park. Ray's Cain is going to have a workout on Monday, May 29th for the Belmont Stakes. This one, Junior Alvarado will ride for trainer Ben Colebrook, and he was outstanding in the Gotham Stakes, but then he came crashing back down to earth in the Bluegrass Stakes and then in the Kentucky Derby. So now as the company's gotten tougher, and also in that Gotham Stakes, he got a lot of pace help. Now, his pedigree is promising. He's shown some ability, obviously winning the Gotham, but he struggled against Grade 1 company, and now he's going to have to step up his game in the Belmont Stakes, and he's not going to get a lot of pace help. That's for sure. The Belmont's going to be one of those, they're just galloping along, and it's not going to be a quick pace, and he doesn't want to fall too far back. Red Route 1 could be last early. Joel Rosario, Steve Asmussen. This one just does not have any speed whatsoever. He just likes to sit back and make a run. Preakness Stakes did not set up for him. He ended up finishing 4th. He won the Bath House Row Stakes at Oaklawn prior to the Preakness. That was basically a win and you're in for the Preakness. So that got him into the Preakness. It didn't set up for him. I don't think the Belmont's going to set up for him. And big closures at 1.5 miles. It's just tough to play horses like that in those long races. So I think Red Route 1 will probably be up against it in the Belmont Stakes. Minor awards, not impossible. Tapit Trice, this one is a son of Tapit. And Tapit, a very good sire for the Belmont Stakes. He sired numerous Belmont Stakes winners. Todd Pletcher, numerous Belmont Stakes winners. Luis Saez is going to ride. This one's going to be a dangerous contender for the Belmont. He won the Tampa Bay Derby, rallying from off the pace. He made an early move in the Grade 1 Bluegrass, and he was able to get by verifying and win that one. And then Blazing Sevens was third there, and he came back and almost won the Preakness. And that was a good effort from Blazing Sevens. And now Tapit Trice ran in the Kentucky Derby, and so did Verifying. Verifying got cooked on a speed duel. Tapit Trice in that 18-horse field, he was last early, but that wasn't a huge deal because the pace was very quick. But he just didn't run his best race. But he was my top choice as well. I was disappointed. He was 7th in that 18-horse field. Wasn't embarrassed by any stretch of the imagination. He just didn't kick it in like he did in that Tampa Bay Derby and in the Bluegrass Stakes. More than qualified to win a race like the Belmont Stakes with that strong pedigree. Todd Pletcher is known for having horses peak in the Belmont. His horses typically underperform in the Derby, so I'm thinking that's what happened to Tapit Trice for whatever reason. Pletcher's horses underperform in the Derby, and they bounce back into Belmont. So I would expect Tapit Trice to be a solid top 3 threat, especially off of that last workout earlier this week. A huge workout. He probably had the most impressive workout of the week. Maybe Forte gave him a run for his money with an impressive work, but he had a big 5 furlong move with a big gallop out. So he looks like he's heading to the race in good order as well. So both of Pletcher's horses look really good heading into it. Even Angel of Empire had a decent work the other day, and Hit Show. So right now, those are the main players. And then if National Treasure can get another pace advantage, he would be the other major win threat. Now, horses that are possible for the race. Prove Worthy for trainer Todd Pletcher. 1.25 mile, a maiden winner at Churchill Downs recently, is stepping way up in class. Good pedigree. He's got a lot of upside. He's just going to be getting a serious class test if they go. Now, Reincarnate for trainer Bob Baffert. He would impact the pace if they decide to go in the Belmont Stakes. He was chasing that pace, that fast pace in the Kentucky Derby. Couldn't keep going. He wilted. Before that, he won the Sham Stakes earlier this year, defeating National Treasure. And then he was 3rd in the Rebel Stakes, and he was 3rd in the Arkansas Derby behind Angel of Empire. So he's shown ability in stakes races, but he's one that I would just have to say overall, I don't think he wants to go 1.5 miles. He just doesn't look like a 1.5 mile type horse, but he would impact the pace if he did run in the Belmont. And then finally, Tapit Shoes for trainer Brad Cox is now listed as a possible. He wasn't listed as a possible earlier this week, but now they do have him on the possible list. He's one that he's only has a maiden win. That was December of 2022 at Fairgrounds. And then he was 3rd in an optional claiming race on February 18th at that same venue. And then Oaklawn Park, I made him my value top choice in the Bathhouse Row Stakes. And he had the lead, but in the last jump, Red Route 1 was able to run him down. That was his best race so far. I like his pedigree. I mean, Tapit, you have Tapit here as the sire, of Flower Alley as the dam sire. So I like the pedigree. He's still lightly raced. He's got some upside, but he's still eligible for an entry-level allowance race. And if they do go in the Belmont Stakes, he's probably going to be up against it from a class standpoint. Maybe not. He's not that good right now, it doesn't look like. So that's my early look at the Belmont Stakes horses. I'm going to do more videos as we get a clearer picture of exactly which horses are and are not going in the Belmont Stakes. We can get a better idea of how the pace is going to play out. And I'll be giving out some more data. So keep checking my YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing more Belmont Stakes videos. And then I'll be doing my final Belmont Stakes video on Belmont Week, giving out my top choice. And again, if you want my Belmont Stakes full card, runawayhorse.com on my sales page. And don't forget to check out my written reports at todaysracingdigest.com for the Belmont. So that'll wrap up this video. And until I see you next time, good luck at the races.